Ever think that youth might be like a lost paradise where the mind doesn't know what it's like to doubt or fight with itself? In contrast to adults, children live in a world where they don't have to question their actions or feelings. They are engaged in a purity and spontaneity that seems almost impossible to touch. People often imagine this stage of childhood awareness as a time when life is very simple and kids don't have to make the hard decisions that come with growing up. How does this take place? When a kid starts to become a teenager, what changes? The answer lies in what Jung calls the passage to the stage of youth. Before, the ego was a weak and mostly harmless center. As it gets stronger, a gap starts to appear between the conscious and unconscious layers. When a person is a teenager, their ego is often unstable. This can lead to a deep internal conflict, where unconscious urges and conscious goals are at odds with each other. Have you ever felt like you needed to move forward, grow, and accomplish more in your life, but you also wanted to go back to your childhood, when things seemed simpler? This struggle between wanting to grow up and missing being a kid is what Jung calls the eternal boy, or puer aeternus. This archetype keeps us from becoming independent by keeping us dependent on others like kids. Leave a comment if this hit home for you. Let's talk about how to handle these internal standards. The puer aeternus is a symbol of the desire to stay young forever, or to hold on to childhood and its comforts. Psychologically, this character shows up in the behavior of people who relate to their childhood or want to go back to it in some way. The puer aeternus, which is also known as Peter Pan syndrome, is a complicated condition that, as the analytical therapist Marie-Louise von Franz points out, shows serious problems with adjusting to new social situations. People who experience this character often think they are unique and that the world should change to fit them, not the other way around. As long as these people are alive, everything seems like a but, a reason not to really commit to anything. They have a fantasy that something or someone wonderful will show up at the right time and give them the chance. Both the job and the friendship aren't always just right. The search for a perfect future stops people from doing anything, and their unmet dreams take their place. The puer aeternus always puts things off because they are afraid of facing reality and seeing how life works outside of their idealized mind. The desire to stay in a mental state of perfection, where everything seems better than it really is, leads to a life that is sleepy and disconnected from reality. On the inside, the puer aeternus is full of dreams and possibilities, but on the outside, his life seems empty and unconnected. To figure out where this interaction comes from, we need to look at the puer aeternus's roots, beginning with the mother-child bond. Other animals are born with some independence, but humans are very dependent on their mothers during the first few years of their lives. During the first year of life, a child is deeply influenced by the mother and sees her as a figure that gives them safety, warmth, and food. A baby's mother is everything to them right now. One important stage a child goes through is the need to become independent, as they become more self-aware and aware of their split from their mother. As girls grow up, their relationship with their mothers helps them develop their feminine identity. But for boys, this stage of differentiation is hard, because they have to let go of this identity and find their manly one. At this point, the boy needs the role of the father, or another male authority figure, to help him find his own identity as a man and break free from his bonds with his mother. When guys don't have a present father figure, or when the male figure around them doesn't give them the identity they need to build their identity, the maternal complex often shows up. When a mother raises a child by herself, she often fills roles that should be filled by the father. The mother feels empty without the father's mental support, and she unconsciously looks to the child to fill that void. This makes the mother feel too close to the child, and she starts to have more and more power over the child's life. Because of this too strong of a bond, the mother becomes what analytical psychology calls the devouring mother. Even though the devouring mother wants to protect her child and give him the best, she starts to question everything he does and won't let him make his own choices. This feeling of worry that is always there can get so bad that the son can't move or do anything. The mother who is devouring her kid doesn't mean for them to grow apart from her. She sees them as an extension of herself and is afraid of being separated. It's clear what this behavior does. It makes the child feel helpless in front of this person that seems to control all of their choices. He starts to feel like he is being eaten, like prey. Or, to use a fairy tale comparison, the mother turns into the big bad wolf, Baba Yaga, the witch from Russian folklore, who tests children with mysterious questions, but confuses them more than she helps, is like this figure of the mother who eats her children. The son feels helpless in front of his mother, so he tries to find a way to get away from her control. For some men, this leads to a type of fake intellectual life, where they have logical conversations that have nothing to do with reality as a way to show they are men and get away from their mother's control. In his book, The Archetypes and the Collective Unconscious, Jung writes that the eating mother can have different effects on the daughter. One option is that the daughter's maternal desire grows stronger, creating a situation in which she cares too much for others and rebels when her care is not accepted. The other option is that this maternal desire turns around and makes the daughter want to be desired, feeling envious of the mother. Because she wants to be praised, she may get into passionate relationships, but only on the surface, to boost her ego and feel wanted. Once she gets what she wants, it will be easy for her to leave the relationship and find the next one. This could also show up as a daughter identifying so strongly with her mother that she stops herself from being feminine and instead lives in the shadow of the mother figure. Everything about her that makes them think of motherhood, like her closeness to others and need for affection, makes them feel bad about themselves, so they avoid situations that involve these topics. It's as if everything the mother goes through is out of reach for them or makes them afraid. So, the woman chooses to rely on her mother as a defense. She becomes so empty that others can see whatever they want in her, making her easy to control. In a broader sense, Pure Eternus's mind is always on the possibilities when he is lost in his dreams, and his life is made up of switching between different points of view. Marie-Louise Monfrance says that he is in an eternal exchange. He thinks about all the different ways his life could go, but he never sticks with one for long enough to be successful. Pure Eternus judges the worth of life based on his perfect childhood memories and his mother. Because of this, he can't stop thinking about the things that are wrong with people. No matter what his job, relationship, or vocation is, he always seems to have a reason for why things aren't quite right. He always has an excuse for that. In other words, Pure Eternus's mother complex has made him an idealist who doesn't fit in well with the real world and his focus on the ideal is costing him his real life. Poor Eternus is afraid to commit to anything, which is exactly what makes him lose himself. He runs away from what he needs to see, which is his situation. The problems and events that come up for each of us are called circumstances. They are also the things we have near to us that can help us deal with problems that come up because of the way things are. Because the poor Eternus doesn't want to get involved and only lives a temporary life, his problems will get worse and worse. This is how a man brings out the mother-devouring spirit in every woman he meets, or how he makes a woman want power at all costs and step on every man. In the play Pirgantes by Henry Ibsen, a man brings out the mother-devouring spirit in every woman he meets. We can see that the boy Pirgante has two main wants in this story. One of his wants is to be loved by women, while he tries to get away from his mother. But the other want goes against this. In an unthinking way, it wants to be cared for by the same women, who see them as another mother. With the first wish, he struts around and tries to be someone he's not to get their attention. When he does this, he ends up with another wish that is stronger than the first one, and he shows that he is defenseless while hoping that the woman he has won over can become his mother. The endless pure, on the other hand, shows a different side of things. The child is always in front of and behind us, as Marie-Louise von Franz says. Behind us is the shadow of our childhood, the signs of how immature, dependent, lazy, not serious, and afraid we were of taking on tasks we had as kids. These things keep us stuck in the past, tying us to problems we should have been able to solve. But what the child stands for is renewal, the chance to start over forever, to see the world with new, curious eyes, as if life were an endless journey. The real creative future is right in front of us. The hardest thing is being able to tell the difference between the urges that push us forward and the ones that pull us back. An urge that seems childish to us can sometimes be a chance to grow. The problem is right there. How do we know if we are going backwards or if we have a real chance to grow up? Philosophers from the past, like Heraclitus and Empedocles, saw the world through the eyes of a child, amazed by all the wonderful things in it. They reflected the best of the poor Eternus. However, this vision is becoming less clear, as cold reason and science reductionism take over, killing the magic of life. Philosophers from the past don't seem to have the same spark in their eyes as they did in the past. At this point in time, the relentless reasoning of modern life makes eternal youth, with its spontaneity and freshness, seem farther away. Jung replied that taking responsibility is the key to getting out of the poor Eternus' trap. His belief was that we can only become truly grown when we give our all to a job or a bigger goal. Viktor Frankl adds to this point of view by saying that we can avoid existential emptiness by finding a purpose greater than ourselves. Rollo May, on the other hand, says that we should face our problems directly and with bravery. In their own unique ways, these thinkers teach us the same thing. We can only grow up when we take on duties. The poor Eternus, on the other hand, finds this hard. The desire to stay young forever is so strong in him that he avoids making commitments that might take work or dedication. Something very bad in his life has to happen before he can change his mind. In this way, therapy can be very helpful for people who are too young to handle the challenges of life. Childhood is not the perfect time that many people think it is. When we're adults, we can look back on our childhood and wish it were different. but we can never be sure that it wasn't great. Living in a state of childish unconsciousness is not freedom. True freedom means being able to suffer and rejoice knowingly. No matter how painful it is, the struggle between our childish and adult selves is a chance to grow. It pushes us to stop being lazy and take on the responsibilities of life, even when we don't want to. But this growth process can only go so far. You can't handle life's problems as well when you spend a lot of time running away from them. You can't get back time you've lost, but you can still do something with the time you have left. The trick is to not let life pass us by without committing to it and facing things with courage and drive. It sounds like the Puer Aeternus is having an effect on your life. If you want to learn more about how to break out of this pattern, please subscribe to the channel and watch more videos like this one. Share your thoughts or experiences in the comments if you haven't already. Your point of view could help others find a way to a better, more realistic life. Until the next show.